know, getting a bit of reflection off my glasses. So let's, don't do this at home. Never breathe on your glasses. Well, on your lenses. I suppose they are lenses. My eye lenses. But they're filthy, so. And I haven't got no wipes, so. An old soiled cloth, which you should always discard off once it gets to this condition, because it will never come back to how it's supposed to be or how it was originally. But I just haven't gotten around to getting any new microfiber cloths. These are pretty good, these. I've had this one for years. No, not really. Anyway. Oh my gosh, I can see. It's been a while. And I said I wasn't going to start my video by saying it's been a while, because it sounds dodgy, doesn't it? It's been a while since I haven't done a video, but I haven't done one for ages. Is this my first one this year? I think I did one a few months back. Anyway, I'm not just going to make videos for the sake of videos anymore. I think that day is over where I used to release videos like 2 times a week. Could you imagine? 2 times a week. I used to always be releasing videos because I had a lot of stuff to say. And what's that syndrome? I can't remember what it is. There's a syndrome where you talk a lot when you don't really know. When you don't really know a lot. And you think you know a subject, so you talk on it. But the more you talk on it and the more you research it and get into it, you realize that you don't actually know that much. Or what you know is tiny. I forgot what the syndrome is. One of you remind me, put it in the comments. And I think that's what happens, you know, when you have a YouTube channel on a specific subject. You know, as the years go by and as you learn more, you realize that which you knew ain't all that. I guess it's just like your art with your art. The more you go into whatever subgenre of photography you're into, the more you realize, especially when you look back on your previous stuff, you like cringeola, you know? And I suppose if you don't cringe, that means you ain't growing, so that's a good thing. You cringe because what you thought was great, what you thought was brilliant, what you thought was the bee's knees, you know, ain't all that. Anyway, here we are again. And I scratched out some notes, so I'm going to be looking to my side. And we're asking the question. It's in the title. DSLRs. Are they back from the dead? I'm asking this question because I'm seeing a lot of reviews online from some of you all and some of my fellow photographers out there asking the same question or reviewing DSLRs. And this is supposed to be the time of the mirrorless, isn't it? This is the time where, you know, we got rid of the flappy mirror. We got rid of the big chunky camera. We got rid of the optical viewfinder. And we got all this technology now. Ooh, you know, eye focus and all that kind of stuff. And DSLRs are dead. And I've got 3 DSLRs in front of me, which are definitely not dead, as far as I'm concerned. And let's just show what I've got. Let's show what I've got. We've got, starting on this side. Let's start on this side. The trusty 5D Mark II. Yeah. Warhorse. Yeah. This thing built like a tank. I was going to say a Russian tank. Built like a tank. You know, you could fling this at somebody, knock them out, pick it up and continue shooting. Beautiful machine. You know, I use this 5D Mark II when I do portraits or studios. It's my studio camera now. It never goes outside. Well, rarely, very rarely, unless the portrait is outside. But this is my portrait camera, studio cam. It is beautiful. It weighs a ton, but the images from this sensor, which is, I think it's is it 21 Can't remember the stats. I'm not really a stato. You know, those of you who know me, I'm not really a stato. All I know is the imagery off of this sensor, of this camera, 5D Mark II, which came out in 2012, I believe. Beautiful camera. I'm seeing people, YouTubers, ask the question, is the 5D Mark II viable in 2022? Good question, you know, and I'm seeing more and more of it. So what is happening? Are people wising up to what I have been talking about for all these years? Oldie, but goodie. It's like vinyl. In the middle, we have my latest DSLR, 6D. The 6D, some of you may know, I did a review on 6D Mark 1, 6D Mark II in 2021, because I bought this last year. I think it was last year. See how time's flying, man. And quite a lot of reviews have surfaced in the last few days talking about this machine here. The original 6D, not 6D Mark II. I'm actually filming with the 6D Mark II. 6D Mark 1, DSLR, chunky beast. Very much lighter than the 5D. Oh my God, I can feel it. The 5D weighs a ton. The 6D is bearable. And as you can see, I've got a strap on the 6D. It's my 70D strap. But I've got a strap on the 6D because the 6D is what I actually use when I do street photography. It's light enough for me to put around my neck and just, you know, just leave it there. You know, because I'm an opportunist street photographer, so I just leave my camera there. Whenever I go out, it's around my neck, and I just, you know how we do. So the 6D DSLR, loads of reviews going around. Professionals, seasoned users are asking, is this camera the way to go? You know, it seems as though people are switching back from their mirrorless to the DSLR. What is happening? Is that the case, or is it just what I'm seeing, or is that how I'm interpreting what I'm seeing? On the right hand side, we've got the Canon 7D. Remember this? Sports and wildlife camera, sporting the 135. Yeah, nice long lens because it's a crop frame. This built like a tank. Has the same button layout on the back as the 5D Mark II. Let's show you, which is very handy if you're using them both together. Yeah, you know, muscle memory and all that. But it's very heavy. These are magnesium alloy frame, subframe with plastic over the top. So they're heavy. You can feel it. The 6D, I believe, doesn't have that. Well, judging by the weight, it doesn't have the magnesium alloy, you know. So it's not as tough, it's not as weather sealed as these machines. But these machines are great. They do what I want them to do. They've always done what I wanted them to do. Mirrorless, I haven't got my M50 up here, but I got a mirrorless in 2018. I bought my first mirrorless camera, which is a Canon M50, which is nice and small and, you know, does a great job of what it does. But there's something about these, using these, that you lose when you go mirrorless. There's something missing. I've talked about the sound of the shutters. I love the sound of the 7D shutter. The sound is all important. It's all part of it, and it's all important. Yeah, may seem like something small, but you guys seem to be switching back. So we have to look at it. What is it? That sound, that feeling, you know, that grip, the optical viewfinder. These are the things that people all listed as reasons to switch to mirrorless. Now it seems like we're missing these. That beautiful sound, that beautiful ergonomics. Yeah, 10 frames a second. Can't get out of my mirrorless. Well, some of them you can. Huh? The 6D. Beautiful. Quality of the images that come off the 6D is, I've heard it's classed as the best, the second best in terms of feel factor. The second best sensor of a Canon camera from those days, you know, with the 5D Mark I being the best. I've never used the 5D Mark I, so I can't attest to that, but I can attest to the image quality of the original 6D. It is better than the image quality of the 62 in terms of photos in low light. In low light, yeah. You can see that, you can notice the difference. For video, the 6D is better, but for photography, the 62 is better for video quality. 61 is better for photography, and hence this is why I use it for street photography, because it is way lighter than these two monsters that we got down here. Yeah. You can check my review of the 61 and 62, and again the 5D, which is the biggest monster of them all. But the image quality, if I really want image quality, if I'm, as I said, doing portraits, this is the one I'm going to choose. This 7D is more wildlife, sports. That's what it's designed for. So if I'm going to do that, wildlife, this is what I'm going to choose. So is it a nostalgia thing? You know, a decade after their release, these are supposed to be dead. DSLR is supposed to be dead. They seem to be making a comeback. Bit like vinyl. Bit like valves, thermionic tubes. Yeah, seem to be making a comeback. What is happening? Yeah, is this recent resurgence of the DSLR? Is it down to the price factor? You know, because now these are really cheap. You can get either of these, 5D, 6D, 7D, in the UK where I am, for under 400 quid. When they came out, these were all like in the range of 3 grand, 2 grand, and just over 1 grand. Yeah, that's the range they were 10 years ago. Now you can get these for peanuts. The quality hasn't dropped, just the price has dropped. And I remember when the 6D2 came down, and when that came out, and there was a meltdown on the internet when the 6D2, then if you remember, it was only yesterday when that came out, and people were talking about the what they call it, dynamic range isn't good, and it's only a 26 megapixel sensor and all that kind of nonsense. And I remember saying at the time, it's not that the camera's not good. It might be that the price is just too high. Now the price has dropped right down. These have now turned into really great cameras, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, that's got a lot to do with it. So it's not about, I don't think it's about, well, this video is not about mirrorless versus DSLR, because the mirrorless are still image quality wise superior, but having superior image quality is not what makes your image a better image, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, having a sharper image doesn't make your image say more, well, in my estimation, than an image that is properly composed, an image that is just telling a story. Yeah, look at the masters that we always yearn towards. What did they use? They didn't use no mirrorless 60 megapixel cameras and all that. They use what they use. So is it a case of the price has come down? Is it a case of now that all the hype is blown past, we can actually get down to what we're supposed to be using these tools for, instead of making them into the thing? The camera is not the thing, the camera is the tool, remember? So now they can revert to being just tools. Is that what it is? Is it an actual resurgence? Or is it just a blip on the information superhighway landscape? Is it the last hurrah of the DSLRs, what we're seeing? I don't know. I just thought I'd make a video about it because I saw it and I thought, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Yeah. I'm looking at my notes here because I've got some notes. Are people switching back? Are these DSLRs now going to take their rightful place where they belong? Yeah. As tools in an arsenal of tools. Yeah. When I open my gun cabinet, you know, you're supposed to see lots of different guns, handguns and rifles and machine guns and bazookas. Yeah. And each one has a purpose. Have these now found their place in the arsenal of the photographer? It seems so. Yeah. I really wanted to talk about the 7D though today, because I think I've talked about the 5D in the past, and I've talked about the 6D a lot. I've done a video, as I said, you can go and review it, go and have a look. But the 7D is kind of been the unsung hero in my lineup of Canon cameras. It is just the camera that, you know, it's not it's not the one that you would think of to buy. It's not the one that gets all the attention. The 7D is just like the workhorse in the background doing what it's supposed to do. The 5D is the one that gets the flagship, you know, the 5D is what people talk about. Yeah, man, 5D, 5D, 5D. And then the 6D. If you can't afford a 5D, you get a 6D because these are both full frame. Yeah, this is a budget version of the 5. The 5's got all the bells and the whistles. The 6 is the beginner. That's how it was sold in the beginning. The big beginner full frame camera. Yeah. And the 7D was kind of niche. It was the wildlife and sports camera. But this is the one that I don't really use a lot. I usually have a 70-200 lens on this, and it's stuck by the window so that I can do some, you know, wildlife shots out the window. And unless I specifically need it, it doesn't get used a lot. So, and this is the cheapest of all three today. I mean, even when it came out, but today you can get these from about 200 quid. This body, this 7D body, yeah. And I've always put it down to the fact that it's not that great in low light. Yeah, you can see the little crop sensor in there. It's not that good in low light. Let me show you compared to the 6. Oh no, you can't see because the mirror's in the way. Sorry. I could flip it up, but hey, you know what a crop sensor looks like, right? Yeah, it's not that great in low light. It weighs a ton. And it's always, because it's got this little, it's got this little pop-up flash on there, you could be mistaken to thinking this is like a 70D or something like that, one of them double-digit D cameras, which is semi-pro. But the 7D is a professional camera. It is a professional camera. As I said, what kind of troubles me about it is if you have like an f4 lens on here and the light goes low, you get a lot of noise. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't really want to use it in events and places like that. Unless, of course, you've got a full-time lens like this, something that goes down to f1.4 or f2. This goes down to f2. Then you're all right. So that kind of lifts it to the level of the 6D and the 5D, I would say. But other than that, the 7D, outside, great. Doing wildlife, great. If you use the camera how Canon intended it, which I guess we should be doing, although I don't, or I haven't done. But if you use the camera how it is intended, then it's perfect. It's perfect. But if you're just coming into DSLRs, that sounds a strange thing to say, but in this time of mirrorless, if you're just thinking about now trying out one of these DSLRs, because they're cheap, I would recommend, of the three, if you want to buy one, I would recommend the 6D. I would recommend the 6D because the image quality is beautiful, it's light, and if you're coming from a mirrorless, these are all going to be heavy. All three of them is going to be heavy, but this is lighter. And you can get everything done that you need to get done with these three cameras with the 6D. So I would go for the 6D first. That's just personally me. Second, I would go with the 5 because obviously it is all singing, all dancing. It is the general purpose camera of all three of these. It can do almost everything except for birding and sports and wildlife, because the burst on these two is very slow. And last of all, I would go with a 7D. Unless birds, sports, wildlife is your thing, then obviously you go for this first. They can all film. You can film with these cameras. None of them have a flip screen. None of them have dual pixel autofocus, but you can do it. I don't know why you'd want to do it on these, but you can do it. If you want to go for something that can film, I would go for a 70D or what I'm filming with now, 60 Mark II. Yeah. It's great to see these machines getting the love that they deserve. You know, I think when people were saying DSLRs were dead a couple of years ago before the lockdown, I think that was a bit premature. I hope this resurgence is real and that we can start talking about photography again instead of just talking about what new machines came out this week, which really does my head in because I can't really understand why you want to change your machine every week or every month or every year. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, there's still features on these machines that I'm finding out. I mean, for example, did you know the 7D is the only one of these three that can have 2 focus points? You can set 2 focus points on this camera and set it so that your back button focus on one point is here and your second focus point is on the next button, this asterisk button next to it. So you can just go get one focus point, get the next focus point. That is unheard of. I don't know if you can do that on mirrorless, you probably can, but 7D is special in that regard, as well as the pop-up flash. It's the only one with a pop-up flash. Not that we use the pop-up flash, but it has its uses. It does have its uses, you know. You want to do some of that Bruce Gilden night photography, just pop that and you can do that. Whereas with the 60 and the 70, you have to bring an external flash. So it does come in handy, although, you know, us photographers frown on this little pop-up flash thing. So, should I switch back to a DSLR from mirrorless? Couldn't tell you last time I used my M50. I only tend to use it now when my back's aching, when if I filmed an event or shot an event, the next day my back might be aching because I got 2 of these babies swinging around my neck. So my back may be aching. And then the next day, if I want to go and do some street photography, I'll grab my M50 in because it actually weighs nothing. That's the only reason. So I don't know if it's a matter of switching one way or another. Have a look at these cameras if you've never tried them. If you have tried them, I know you're itching to get back. I know you got that nostalgic feeling. We all do when we see them. Try them out, you know, they're cheap, buy all 3. And then you can't go wrong. That's what I reckon, anyway. Okie dokie, mirrorless might not be dead. Feels dead when you're using it though, doesn't it? It's a dead experience. Anyway, we're going off track. Till next time, zoom, zoom, zoom.